true totalitarian Robert Bork on the Supreme Court, but thankfully Bork was defeated. Bork believed that even free speech did not apply outside of political campaigns, and otherwise the government could censor. On March 15, 1982, President Reagan, speaking to the Alabama legislature, said, and I quote, "Sometimes I can't help but feel that the First Amendment is being turned on its head. The First Amendment was not written to protect the people of this country from religious values. It was written to protect religious values from government tyranny. Does that mean that government can impose religion on everyone?" On August 23, 1984, speaking in Dallas, Texas, President Reagan said, "America needs God more than God needs America. If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under." Does that mean that people who don't believe in God are not citizens, are not accepted? I don't think that President Reagan, to be charitable, his intellectual innocence, had any idea of how devastating the implications of these comments were. The Texas Republican Party in 2004 affirmed that the United States is a specifically Christian nation, called church-state separation a myth, and called for abstinence-only education instead of sex education, informing young people of modern contraceptive options. Moderate Republican Congressmember Christopher Shays has said that the Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln has become the party of theocracy. While meeting with the Pope in June of 2004, President Bush asked the Vatican to push American bishops to be more aggressive in religious issues like abortion and in support for a constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. On July 16, 2004, the President said in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to an Amish crowd, "I trust that God speaks through me. Without that, I couldn't do my job." It's a bit frightening when the leader of the most powerful nation on earth thinks he is channeling the deity. And I think that should be a cause of concern for everyone around the globe. The President's inaugural prayer lunch, when he first assumed office in January of 2001, was hosted by Reverend Sung Young Moon, a theocratic leader of an extreme version of Christianity who claims he is the modern incarnation of Jesus. If we lose government neutrality on matters of religion, we will face government efforts to control issues of birth, life, death, sex, health, marriage, medicine, and the role of the family. These endless disputes will mire the United States in a virtual, if not an overt, religious war. Not only will women lose the right to safe and legal abortion if a religious right-winger replaces Justice Stevens, even the right of people married to each other to use birth control could be nullified, because the 1965 case of Griswold versus Connecticut, which said that the right of privacy covers the right of married couples to use birth control, has been considered to be wrongly decided by extreme television preacher Pat Robertson, who has been a major player in determining the most recent appointees to the Supreme Court. We would also even lose the morning after pill. Moreover, when John Ashcroft, President Bush's first Attorney General, was still in the Congress, he authored, but thankfully lost his effort, to have the United States Constitution Amendment put into the very Constitution itself, declaring that life begins at fertilization, which would ban abortion and many modern means of birth control. Public schools and textbooks would be pressured toward official prayer and theological correctness in matters ranging from science and evolution to sex education and family life. One of the true founding fathers of the American religious right wing was the Reverend Jerry Falwell, who died last year. And he wrote in America Can Be Saved, and this is a quote, "I hope I live to see the day when, as in the early days of our country, we won't have any public schools. The churches will have taken them over again, and Christians will be running them. We will also forfeit our leading role in biological science by denying our public school children a clear understanding of evolution, because we are one vote away on the United States Supreme Court from overturning all the decisions that prevent creationism, and creationism dressed up in the fancy costume of intelligent design, from being taught in the public schools. One vote away on the Supreme Court from creationism being allowed to be taught by the states in the public schools. We will also forfeit any leading role in modern biological sciences because of the religious-based stoppage of stem cell research at the national level. In May of 2001, President Bush withdrew all funding for stem cell research, prompting former Republican United States Senator John Danforth of Missouri, an ordained Episcopalian minister, to claim that the religious mandate to heal the sick is being violated by President Bush's edict. An interesting slant on that. Though the California Supreme Court has ruled under the state constitution and didn't invoke the United States Constitution so as to shield its opinion from review by the United States Supreme Court, that persons of the same sex may marry, there is a ballot initiative in California which, if passed by the voters, could amend the state constitution to overturn the state Supreme Court's opinion and reinstate the ban on same-sex marriage. However, even beyond this, the right of gays and lesbians to engage in private sexual conduct among themselves has only been nationwide protected since 2003. In the case of Lawrence versus Texas, police officers in Texas broke in on an adult male gay couple having sex and arrested them because homosexual conduct was illegal in the state of Texas. By a vote of 6-3, the United States Supreme Court said that no state can criminalize private homosexual adult conduct. However, with the replacement of Justice O'Connor by Justice Alito, that majority has dwindled to 5-4. By the replacement of Justice Stevens by a religious right-wing justice, that decision would be reversed, and the states would once again be free to criminally punish same-sex sexual love. Now, in his dissent in Lawrence versus Texas, Justice Scalia, in a very frightening way, said that the people of any state should be able to impose their collective sense of sexual morality through the police power of the state, and among the practices he listed as ripe for prohibition by a state legislature was masturbation. Now, how that's going to be enforced is really quite an amazing story. But again, going back to Pat Robertson, who has had an inordinate influence on the Reagan and both Bush administrations, on his 700 Club television show, he once said, "Many involved with Hitler were Satanists, and many were homosexuals. The two things seemed to go together." In the past 10 years, there was a Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court. And in concurring in an opinion that denied a lesbian mother custody of a child, Roy Moore, as the Chief Justice of Alabama, writing officially said, "Homosexuality is against both natural and revealed law, a detestable and abominable sin." Well, the Chief Justice or a justice of any state Supreme Court is not supposed to be enforcing revealed law. But then he continued to write, "The state carries the power of the sword, that is the power to prohibit conduct with physical penalty